The motion equals the habit, which equals the emotion. That turns into, I love this. This is what I love to do. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's real estate, whether it's mortgages. YouTube solves the problem of I don't have enough time in the day.
Today, we're talking with my good friend Kayla Lindsay, who is crushing her channel in North Carolina. And from 2023 to 2024, she grew her business by 64%. And from 2024 to 2025, she's already surpassed her 2023 total and is on track to surpass her 2024 total, possibly by the end of Q2 or maybe even Q3. So her channel is growing astronomically and she is having a blast. On top of that, she's traveling, taking weeks off at a time. She actually says she's working less and making more money now. She has a showing assistant. She talks about how she structures that, how she pays them, and how that is actually giving her more of her time back. And it's a small percentage that she pays out, but it's really big for that showing assistant. So you never know the amount of help you could get until you ask. She did a simple post, found the right person who's also highly qualified and really good at what they do, but was also just looking for something a little bit more steady and consistent. And they didn't want to have to lead generate in any way. They just wanted to be able to be handed over the clients to work with and to take them out and show homes. And they were perfectly happy with that. And they're able to earn a full-time income as well. So the numbers that Kayla is going to talk about are crazy. I mean, I'm so proud of her and everything she's accomplished. It's truly an inspiring story. So let's talk to Kayla. And welcome, Kayla Lindsay. How are you today?
Doing fantastic. Thanks for asking. Hope you're doing good.
Good. You're at your beach house today. All right.
I am. My humble abode, as you can see. I will be out surfing hopefully right after this call.
Very nice. Yeah. So is this a North Carolina beach house?
It is. We have a spot up in Surf City, which is just north of Wilmington. Literally the best beaches in North Carolina. Don't let anybody fool you. The water is literally Caribbean blue. It is perfect.
Really? Wow. And you just got back from Costa Rica, didn't you? For a little surf trip there?
Yeah, because I can't stay away from the beach. So I've always had this dream to go to Costa Rica. And I said to my husband, I was like, look, we're never going to have the perfect time. And January is one of the best times to go to Costa Rica. I love to surf. And I needed a little bit of an uptick on my lessons. So I said, let's go. So I said, Mom, Dad, you're coming with us. And we all hopped on a flight to Costa Rica for 2 weeks and hung out down there and watched the iguanas and the monkeys and got to go surfing and then watch really good surfers after I got done surfing the little waves.
Very nice. Were you in Jaco?
We were in, oh my gosh, this is going to drive me nuts that I can't remember the name of it. We landed in Lucia. And then we went to, it starts with a T, thank you. Yes, that's exactly where we were. Yep. Great spot. So pretty.
I've been to Costa Rica a couple of times. And actually,
I was going to say, you had that right off your lips. I figured you knew exactly where that was.
I spent 5 weeks there actually. So one time
nice.
Went to basically all four corners. My most favorite part is Puerto Viejo, which is on the East Coast, close to the Panama border in the Caribbean. That's more the Caribbean side. The West Coast, you could say, is a little bit more Western or commercial touristy. And then the East side is on the Caribbean. And you definitely, it's a big difference. You see the Caribbean vibe and all the Rastafarians and just the laid back life over there, like significantly laid back, more than the West Coast, but
like really chill.
Yeah. But Puerto Viejo, that's like a super cool little town. I just loved it there. It's a cool spot.
That's now going to my list. So thank you for that. I'll have to push for like more of a 3-week trip next time.
Yeah. And they've got the black sand beaches there because of the sand, the runoff from the volcanic sand runoff from there. And so it's kind of cool too.
That's neat. Okay. Well, you've just added to my list. Keep sending suggestions. I'll keep tacking it on.
There you go. Okay. Now back to real estate. Yes. All right. Let's talk about, first of all, what market do you serve in North Carolina?
So I'm in Charlotte, which is also a border city. So we're also, I tap over into South Carolina. It might as well be a part of Charlotte, honestly.
Okay. What town is right there in South Carolina?
So you've got Fort Mill, Rock Hill, Tega Cay. You've also got Indian land. And then if you come up to the west, you've got York and Clover. So those are my primary areas in South Carolina. It's all the border of North Carolina.
Gotcha. Okay. So you do venture down into South Carolina a little bit, or yeah?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's funny when people reach out, it's always which one's better? What's the advantage? And they're this different. But when it comes down to it, if you live in a city that's right on the border of another state, you might as well venture into it. Otherwise, you're handing out referrals to other people for them to go close the business. So when people are coming in, they're going to search Charlotte and then they're going to go, but what's around it? And South Carolina cuts right into Charlotte. So it just makes perfect sense to be leaning into that area. And it's very popular.
Yeah, that's cool. So how long have you been in real estate?
Gosh, I can't believe this, but I'm coming up on 10 years in September. September 2015, I got my license. Wow. Actually spent all of summer in summer school doing real estate classes. I spent my weekends in classes for real estate, which I can't believe I gave up my summer weekends, but I did. Apparently it was that important to me, and I'm glad I did. Worked during the week and then went to class for 8 to 9 hours on the weekend and then studied my little heart out until I got my license.
How many weekends did you have to do that?
I think it was 5. It was 4 or 5 weekends in a row, back to back. I started it the weekend after Memorial Day, so beginning of June, and went all the way through. I think I took my test mid-July and then actually had my physical license by end of July, end of July, early August, I guess it was.
How do they even do real estate school these days? Is it all just online, or do they still do the in-classroom?
They do in person still, yeah. From somebody I was talking to, I actually finally convinced my little brother to get his license. So he texted me yesterday, where do I go for real estate school? So they've got 3 options. You either can go in person, you can do it live online, which is what I always recommend because they're going to keep pace, or you could do it on your own time. And it's basically click through all these things, go through all these slides, teach yourself, which is the least best way for me to learn things. But I'm OG. I was in class because that was the only option at the time. But now, yeah, you can go do it online if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
All right. So 10 years, you started when you were 20, right? And
yes. Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Wow. How has real estate changed over the last 10 years?
You know what? I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I was like, what did we do before this app or this system or this thing over here? When I started, I'm going to sound like I'm more archaic than I really am. I promise you. I'm not super tech savvy, but when I first started, I came into my first firm. I didn't like their CRM system / I didn't know how to use it, but it wouldn't give me a date of when I had to follow up with people. So I could never keep track of when I needed to follow up. So I went out and I bought an index card box with months and days. And I literally wrote out information and notes on index cards. That is how I ran my first year in real estate. And I did cold calling that entire year. For an entire year, I cold called. And I got my first deal 3 months in, 2 months in. I think it was a buyer. And then I had my first listing like 4 or 5 months in. And I'm like, man, this isn't great. This really isn't moving very quickly. But here's the cool thing. All that work I did for those previous months, calling expireds, doubling down, following up, turned into 29 transactions in my first year in real estate. And it was 80% sellers, which was kind of crazy. Yeah. So you put the work in, you get it back. But yeah, that was what real estate was like when I first started. It was my little black box of all my contacts. And then I finally graduated into a real CRM system that I barely used for several years. And then I learned how to use a CRM system. So if you're archaic, it's okay. You can still make it by with some effort.
Well, it's funny. I was just, doing one of our 3-day events here, and I was talking about, man, when I started 4 years ago, we didn't even have AI, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, what a funny statement that I'm already saying, well, when I started 4 years ago, we didn't even have AI. Because now I'm sitting here still, showing how to, hey, this is the way you could research titles and
Right.
and then I'm like, or you could just go to Chat
Just
GPT,
tap this in. Yeah. Take
type this
4
in.
articles, drop them in and say, make this make sense and put it in order for
Yeah.
me.
And now, like if you just Googled Plano, Texas pros and cons,
Yeah.
the Gemini gives you a whole overview right there. I'm
All of
like,
it.
I mean, like this could be your video right there.
Literally.
Just by typing it, you don't even have to go to the Google or the Gemini itself. And then I took that and I was like, what if we just throw that into Grok? And so now you have you got Grok and Chat
All of
GPT
them.
and Gemini. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take this, what it gave me, and I threw it into Grok and to Gemini, and then gave it the same prompt to kind of see
What they
a
did
comparison.
differently.
Yeah, I tend to like Grok a little bit better. Gemini gave me a little bit more of the the words like dwell and
Things that
paradise.
you would not actually talk the way you wouldn't talk. Yeah.
Is Plano a suburban paradise? I'm just like, come on.
Well, and here's something interesting, which this is a really good point. When I first started on YouTube, it was a go research it, write it all out. Like I was doing things very differently than I am now. Now I can speed up the process, but I have taught Chat GPT how to talk like me. So one of my VAs, and we started 2 years ago doing this when we first got it, I said, take every video I've ever made, get the transcripts from every single one of them and tell it, we're going to start inputting information to you. This is how I talk. This is how I want you to talk back to me. So we ended up training it in my language based upon how I speak in my videos, how I speak in my blogs, that it now spits something out. I actually had a client response email that I sent to somebody the other day, and I didn't even have to touch it. I put the input, but I think to your point, what you put into it is what you get out. I think that's with anything. And if we do use that same idea with AI, you get a far better result depending upon what you put into it. So if you give it more to go on, it's going to give you something better back, which the more you train it, the quicker it gets too, which is great.
Yeah, it's just funny. Yeah, how fast it's changing now. And I'll have to include, we have a whole course on AI in our program where you can run through a lot of that stuff. But even that is probably up
it's quite old now.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing too, is I was actually talking with Phil, who built that course for us inside of our program. He was the only other guy at that women's conference last week. So we were the only two guys speaking there. And it was funny because I got up on stage and I said, first of all, I want to thank Amy because this is the first conference I've ever been to and I didn't have to wait in line in the men's restroom. So
there's ever a line for the men's restroom. Come on.
And we had our own individual urinals in there. So it was
well done. Had your name over it and everything.
Oh yeah. Yep. Little name cards. It was nice. So but he talked about it. He's like, yeah, I really stopped making courses myself. He goes, because I feel like they're outdated almost every 30 days,
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. And I just thought, yeah, that's a good point. We need to really work on updating that every single month, really, as far as what we're looking at. So and
specifically for his, because it's AI, right? Because AI changes so rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, it really does come down to the prompting and teaching it as well. And so you can really adapt with it, so the updates and all that will just help you be more efficient too. But overall, now you are rocking and rolling, and you've been in real estate for 10 years. And before you got into YouTube, you were also doing traditional and old school marketing as real estate typically do. And I remember the last time we talked about this, you're a strange one because you actually like the cold calling, right?
I'm so weird. It's one of those things, if you just tell yourself something, and I coach on this when I talk to people. I said, your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. So whatever you're putting in, it perceives as reality. So I didn't like cold calling. I don't think most sane people do. So what did I do? I made a connection and a correlation for myself that every no was getting closer to yes, which means every no actually had a dollar amount attached to it. And I also told myself, I love cold calling. Cold calling brings me the outcome I desire. So the more I said it, the more I believed it. And then I didn't mind getting on the phone. Also, call someone you really like as your first phone call. Maybe your dad. I used to call my dad as my first phone call and I'd be like, hey, good morning. He'd be like, good morning. Have a good day. And then I'd hang up. And then before I would even click, I'd be dialing the next number. So I get already into the rhythm, right? I started off positive, but a lot of it has to do with mindset. And even for YouTube, I hear people say, I hate video. I'm not good on video. The more you tell yourself that, the more you're going to believe that. There are days when I don't want to hit record. And this is literally what I do all the time. And sometimes laundry seems like a better option, or perusing online for boots, whatever it is that, floats your boat. It can happen, but it can happen for anything. So it's more of a get in your mindset. No, this is what I love to do. And I really do. I love making video. Like, I never had to convince myself of that. I really do enjoy it. But you always have your days when you don't want to do it. Yeah. So you just have to lean back into the motion equals the habit, which equals the emotion that turns into, I love this. This is what I love to do. And the more you love it, the more you do it.
Yeah, I started my sales career at Valley Total Fitness, and it was our whole goal was to get 5 people in the gym the next day. Like, we had to book 5 appointments for people to come into the gym and tour the gym, because if they toured the gym, then you most likely could sell them a membership.
Yeah.
Right. But the only way you're going to get them in the gym is to make phone calls, because you're in the office, in the gym, you could definitely network with members, and you'd have to talk them into getting their friends to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But
flag them down on the road.
Most of the time it was, phone calls, and we worked 12-hour shifts. It was crazy. I think that was before labor laws, maybe back in the day, but we worked 12 hours a day, and the shift was 10 to 10. And we couldn't call. Because the gym would close at 10, and now it would open at 5, but
you wouldn't call at 5.
Yeah, salesperson, you didn't have to go until 10, and you couldn't call after 8 p.m. So, we had prime time calling window, and I used to go in there, and I remember I'd have my folder, because we literally had this 3-ring binder of just written names and numbers and things like that. And I would just always have it open for my next call. So whenever I came in, I would literally sit down and just dial the first number immediately, like zero hesitation, just ring, and then it'd be like, okay, next one, make my physical note, little check mark, write a little note. Okay, NA, no answer, LM, left message, and I'd be sitting there writing down, and then somebody'd answer it and be like, ooh. So it was fun.
Great. You should come talk to me.
Yeah. Hey, how's it going? Look, you inquired about the gym, and you got to come in and see it. Yeah, come on in. Let's talk about it was a straight hustle.
A whole spiel. Yeah.
And I just remember that's what I did, was I just moved into action. And, that's what always made me a good salesperson in my career, was I was always willing to actively prospect and out prospect everybody else. Like, I was just willing to make more phone calls.
Show up.
Yeah. I even sold cell phones at Costco, and, most people don't go to Costco to buy cell phones.
No.
So I would talk to every person that came through, that walked by, literally talk to every single one, and everyone else, the other salespeople, would sit back in the booth and just sit there.
Wait for people to come to them.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and I always sold the most. I crushed people by, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6x, just because I would just talk to them and get them to stop and have a conversation. So, yeah.
Well, that's every industry. That makes a good point. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's real estate, whether it's mortgages, whether it's cell phone sales, whether it's fitness, it's literally getting in front. It's not just necessarily the early bird catches the worm. It's the person that keeps showing up and doesn't let anything get in their way, and says, this is the one thing that I know I have to do. And the funny thing is, it all comes down to what? Prospecting.
Yeah.
The more people you talk to, the more people you get in front of, the higher your conversion rate. It's as simple as that. So if you're going to sit back and wait for people to come to you, you get 2 people come to you. You might have to wait 3 weeks for 2 people a day to come to you before you close one. Or you can go out and talk to 50 and get that one every day, which is where you see those that are succeeding and those that aren't. It's that conversation. How many conversations are you having? That's going to get you your success.
Hey, you should check out my new community for free. It's where I host all of my more in-depth trainings, and you're going to get access to step-by-step courses showing you how to get buyer and seller leads for your business using passive prospecting, a supportive community of over 1,300 members, and weekly group coaching sessions you can attend and ask questions. Now, this community is all about passive prospecting and getting quality buyer and seller leads through YouTube without spending a penny on ads or cold calling. Now, the link is in the description below, so make sure you join for free today and say hi to me when you get in the community. I look forward to seeing you there. Yeah, same thing with video though. Now that I can make a video literally once or twice a week and reach thousands of people, tens of thousands. I mean, I don't know what other way you would want to prospect after that. I mean, it's just, it's crazy the returns that you can get. And to think about, man, actually, YouTube came out in 2005. If I just would have started YouTube then with my sales career, anyways, but
imagine where we'd be right now. We'd both have our own islands. We'd be relaxing. Although if that was the case, I would have been 10 based upon our aging of me. I'm kidding. But no, to make a good point with that though, one of my very first videos I ever made, I think it was my 4th video. It's gotten over 60,000 views. But if I look at the watch hours and the impressions, I think that's what makes the biggest impact. I took 30 minutes 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, to make that video. It has literally brought me over 100 subscribers. Actually, I think it was 200 subscribers, 250, somewhere in there. I haven't looked at it in a minute. But the impressions that it made, it literally is like 3 months worth of 24/7 connection one-on-one with my ideal client. Because I think that's the other thing. I could go get a phone book and dial phone numbers all day. Like when I used to cold call for real estate back in the day, I would make 300 calls a day. And those were to people raising their hand. That was expireds, FSBOs. They already raised their hand. So I was at least targeting the right person, but it took, of the 300, I would then speak to 20. Of the 20, I would get 1 to 3. That was about my ratio for setting an appointment. Then I still had to convince them that I was better than the 6 other agents they already met with. So the pivot here is I spent 30 minutes one time and get in front of thousands of people that are searching for the information I want to give them. So they are willingly sitting down and going, Kayla, show me the things. Tell me the things. I want to hear it from you. Meanwhile, I'm out surfing, or I'm Costa Rica, or I'm, for the love of gosh, having a bubble bath and relaxing, or working with another client, which is the coolest thing. So YouTube solves the problem of I don't have enough time in the day. How do I make more hours? It's not necessarily, you don't have to go hire people to do the calls for you or do the things for you. You just have to learn how to clone yourself. And that's what video does. You clone yourself. So you duplicate that 30 minutes thousands of times without putting any more effort into it than you did just once, which is amazing.
Yeah. Well, you think about that 30-minute video, and that's like being in a NBA stadium of 60,000 people and giving your 30-minute pitch on why they should hire you as an agent, basically in front of an NBA stadium. I mean, that's a lot of people, not just the watch hour. The watch hour. Yeah,
it's an NBA stadium of people that all signed a form as they walked in saying, "I'm interested in buying a home or moving." So they're all the ideal client, not just random people, which makes it even more insane to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. The sign outside the stadium said, "Let's talk real estate," right?
Yes. And they're like, "Sure, let's go."
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. It wasn't, let's trick people. And that's, and that's the thing, like in Bally's, I always kind of question that because we would be offering free memberships or 1-week trials, or, hey, you got to come into the gym to get your 1-week trial. But really the goal is to get them in and close them on a membership that day.
Credit card.
Yeah. And, but then they'd always be, well, what about my 1-week trial or my 2-week trial? Hey, don't worry about that. Let's just get you started. You're going to stay committed. And, and I always felt a little off about that. So yeah, you're right. These are people that are like, hey, we just put up a big sign that says, are you interested in North Carolina real estate? And they're like, yeah, I'll go to that show, for 30 minutes. I mean, it's
also not hey, click here, give me your info, and you can see some really pretty houses, pictures of houses, right? I always make the joke. I'm like, this isn't a Facebook post where it's actually someone like me with a glass of wine at 11:30 with some chocolate looking at pretty mansions, right? I am not an ideal buyer. Just because I popped into your CRM as a lead doesn't mean I'm really a lead. This is people that really want to take action. They reach out to you. So instead of it being outbound, it's inbound. So I can sit back and people come to me. So it's like door knocking in reverse. They knock on my door.
Yeah. That's awesome. So before you were doing the cold calling, did you do any other forms of marketing, the traditional methods?
Oh, I've tried plenty. My most successful always was cold calling. And I think for me, I knew the metrics. It was from a time perspective, I could have the highest impact by making calls. So that's where I leaned into. But I door knocked, I did open houses, which I've had success at all of it, but I never did it consistently enough, I would say. But door knocking, open houses, I did some mailers for a while. I tried some fancy schmancy online marketing that was new, and the leads, when you call them, they go, I never signed up for this. I don't want a house. And they hang up on you, you know? And then I did Zillow. So back in 2020, 2020 was a very interesting year, as we all know. As the year started out, I branched into doing home buyer workshops. And basically the premise was, it was a free workshop. You show up at this brewery, I'll buy you a beer, and I'm going to give you my spiel, my presentation on how to buy a house as a first-time home buyer. Now, I only did one in person, and then COVID shut us down. But the interesting part was the feedback and what happened from that. I had 10 couples that came to that event. 8 of them purchased a home with me within the next year and a half. 2 did not. One of them couldn't. He lost his job, which was very unfortunate. The other one, I didn't keep up with them. And I called them months later and said, oh my gosh, I completely dropped it off. There was so much going on. How are you? Do you still want to buy? And the response was, you're going to cringe. Yeah, we are. We're doing our final walkthrough right now. Just like, okay, missed one. But I started doing them virtually. And at that same time, I started doing Zillow because I wanted to see what the difference was, not only in what I had to spend, but also what I was going to get in return. It was night and day. With Zillow, I was getting maybe 3 leads a week, and the cost was astronomical. For my home buyer workshops, I was getting 70 to 90 leads a week with $100 spend on ads. Now, of that 100 that would register, I got a phone number, email, and a name. And then from there, it would break it down to who showed up. So I still had their info. So now I could go keep calling them and emailing and following up. But the conversion rate was way higher because they weren't just clicking around on pretty houses. They wanted to know how to buy a house. So it was a difference. When we talk about call to action, like on my YouTube videos, it was that call to action. Do you want to buy a house versus do you want to look at pretty pictures, right? It's something very different. So when I was doing that, it was working really great, but things started to pivot, right? Especially when interest rates went up. Interest rates skyrocketed, and what happened? Nobody was looking to buy a house. At least that's what I thought. And that's where I pivoted out of all other forms. And that's when YouTube kind of came into the forefront of my periph.
Oh, yeah? And how did that happen?
That's crazy. It's funny. I've shared this story before. It was one of those moments. Like, there's a lot of key pieces that like led up to it, but then you get that moment of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And when rates went up, I went back to cold calling. So I was like, all right, I know I've been, down to the bottom of the barrel before where things weren't working out because I tried something new. Let's go back to what I know. So I started cold calling, but I then recently I'd found out that I was pregnant. And I didn't want to sit in people's houses at 8 o'clock at night, convincing them that I was the right agent. I wanted to be home with my son and my husband and living my life. And I was like, how do I get out of this constant, like, just wheel that I felt like I was in over and over? I said, there has to be a better way, but I don't want to spend a ton of money because I don't like spending on ads. Obviously they don't work, from what I had experienced. I don't want to go spend it with iBuyers. I don't want to door knock. I don't want, it was one of those, you make the list of all things you don't want to do. And I remember calling my coach at the time, shout out to Veronica. She's awesome. She said, you need to go check out this guy, Levi. I said, who's Levi? She said, well, he just released this course. He's been crushing it in real estate the last year. And he has this course that he's doing about YouTube. Just go look at it. I know you know how to do video. And I'm like, video doesn't work. I've tried it. She's like, oh no, he's figured this thing out. Just go do it. So you do what you're supposed to do when you hire a coach and pay them a lot of money to tell you what to do. You do it. and you don't ask questions. So I jumped onto your webinar, and this was, gosh, when was this? This was May, I want to say. It was May of 2022. Jumped into your webinar. I'll never forget, I'm sitting out on the porch and I'm like, all right, this dude's crushing it. But what does his website look like? So I'm like in on your channel, feeling it all out. I'm like, all right, I'm going to rip off and duplicate everything he's doing and get it into my channel and just start this thing. And I started putting it together and I realized, okay, a channel is one thing, but I don't really know how to put this content together the right way, because if I'm going to do it, I want to do it the right way. So that's when I jumped into passive prospecting. And I was like, let's just go all in. Like, it was one of those, I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. And I know this can work if I commit to it. So I went all in, Prego and all, and did the entire course, did everything exactly as it was explained, did all the video exactly as it was suggested. And not only did it crush my numbers, but I think even for me, it had a more of a life impact, which I don't hone in on for, when I'm telling people about it. Usually it's like, oh, I made a lot of money, this is great. The life impact that it had, it kept me from my business tanking out when I had my son. I ended up breaking my ribs 4 weeks before I had him. So I lost an entire month of work. Like, it was terrible, hurt really bad too. But I lost a whole month of work. Then I had my son. And any ladies and gents who've ever had kids, there's some downtime there that you need. It gave me the ability to do that. So from a standpoint of, I always had this vision that I didn't want to be the real estate mom that was always telling my kid to be quiet and not paying attention because I'm on the phone, I'm doing a deal. It completely pivoted this into, I have such an abundance that I welcome in the people that want to work with me with the way in which I work. And sometimes that means occasionally my 2-year-old might run in like he did an hour ago when I was on a call upstairs. And I want the client that's going to say, oh my God, he's so cute. How old is he? Versus, well, this is a business meeting. And if this is the way you're going to work, because I've had plenty of those people in my past. So it was a major lifestyle pivot from the way I want to live my life and lead my life and my values to now being connected with those right people and having such an abundance that I don't need to worry if someone doesn't like the way in which I operate my business. That's okay. There'll be someone else that does. So I think that's something I don't hone in on enough. And it really has been a massive pivot. And that's how I was able to go to Costa Rica and not worry. I came back to 12 appointments on my calendar after that trip.
Isn't that amazing? Don't you love it?
Love it. Love it.
Truly.
Or them apologizing that they interrupted my day. I'm so sorry. You're so busy. Yeah. We really want to talk to you. When's a good time for you? And I'm like, this is cool. Yeah. How about tomorrow at 4? Yes. Whatever you need.
I love that, and I actually just mentioned that on the call I was with earlier. I talked to people and I told them, people like to work with busy people. People want to know that, when they see what you're doing, or even if you look busy, which by the way, the videos make us look busy, even though, just depending on where you're at in your business. Yes. Now I've positioned all of this, which I'm glad, because now that I have a kid as well, that's something that I always dreamed of was, when I have my kids, don't be run by my business, let me be able to choose and dictate. And I've been sharing, like last year, I spent at least 3 months out of my market, probably. And if you add in all the speaking events, it probably was closer to 4 or 5, but 3 months of a week in Cabo. I went 2 weeks to Spain. We went 3 weeks in Vegas. We did a week in Puerto Rico, 3 weeks in Brazil. And that was the family was with me. So that's the cool thing about it. And then, you add in all the other speaking events, and still we did significant numbers in a market where transactions were the lowest volume count for the last 30 years. And so it's truly amazing. I mean, it really is the power of passive prospecting, because as long as the lead flow keeps coming in, you can always have somebody. That's the beautiful thing about real estate, is somebody can always service those leads. It doesn't have to be you, as long as you
don't always expect it. Most of them, they think you're busy. They're like, I didn't expect you to pick the phone up. And I was like, oh, well, hey.
Well, I learned that, the first 350 phone calls and emails and Zooms that I took, when I started the channel, was every single one of them was surprised it was me that I was on the call. So it made me very comfortable to step out and pass that along to somebody else. And now 3.5 years later, haven't had any issues with that still. So it is a tremendous opportunity to really scale yourself. And so now I'm like, all right, cool. I can, Saturday's completely off. It's family day, hanging out, evenings as well after 6,
Same.
don't have to mess with anything. So it's really cool. I can usually, if I'm working here, I'll step out, have breakfast, have lunch with the family. We sit down to dinner every night, and I like those things are really important. Yeah. But also if I miss a day or two because I got a speaking event, then that's also accepted, right? Just because while I'm here, we're doing things. So, but yeah, it's really great. So let's get into some numbers because your numbers are crazy, which I love.
It was funny because right before we jumped on, we were talking a little bit preliminarily, and I could see your face like, oh. Oh, those are your numbers. Okay.
Well, you did more than I thought. So I don't know why I guess I had your 2023 numbers for 2024. So your 2024 numbers are much bigger. So you started mid 2022, right? In the program?
July. Yeah. So the program I started May 2022. I launched my first video July 14th, 2022.
Okay.
And to your point, you were talking about this a minute ago, taking time off. In 2023, I took 5 months off. I looked at it. I took 5 full months off in that year and had doubled my business from 2022. So I worked less and made more, which is literally the goal that anybody could possibly have. And that's what happened, which was pretty crazy.
That's awesome. And 2023 numbers were?
So 2023, I did 22.4 million for a total of 466,000 in sales in GCI. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Nuts.
As a solo agent?
Solo agent. Yeah, that's a really good point. So I am still a solo agent. We'll get into that when we talk about 2024. But yeah, at that time I was completely a solo agent and still am. So all these are my numbers. Solo agent and mom.
There you go. So let's see. So 2020 and then 2024, what'd you hit?
So 2024 was a little bit different. So 2024, I did add in a showing assistant. So my showing assistant actually net on their own of commission split 30,000. And I still ended up making 690,000. So in total, it was 720,000 as an independent agent. Still not working nights and weekends, might I add, and actually taking vacations, which we're supposed to do. You're supposed to enjoy your hard work.
Now you just threw. I was
going on.
Yeah. So okay. So I just want to do this quick math. 720.
Yeah.
That is like a.
Is that like a
64% increase?
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah. So that's crazy. Are you jamming out?
No, my assistant decided to call me, but I had to turn it off. Sorry.
You're good. Yeah, it's almost 65% increase in business. Pretty tremendous. And now, so 700, that's just, that's amazing.
It was like 29 million.
Wow. So you must have increased your price point then as well.
So that's been the interesting thing. In doing all of this, it significantly increased my price point. So average in our market is about 450. At this point, my average has jumped closer to about 600 or so, which, I mean, $150,000 increase is pretty significant. But I'm also noticing that I'm getting more and more callers that are in the million plus range, which usually it was like, okay, a $400,000, et cetera. Now it's, I'm getting 1 million, 1.5, 2.8. Like that's, at first I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Now it's, that's normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Our average price point for Q1 of this year, we put 29 million in the pipeline for Q1 as far as just people that reached out in Q1 alone saying, hey, we want a contract in the next 6 months. We want to buy something within the next 6 months, 29 million. And that average price point is $900,000. So what I'm seeing, and what you're telling me too, I'm seeing this really across a lot of areas and markets, is that it seems like the 800 to 1.2 range is the people that are moving right now.
Yeah. Well, and here's one thing that I would point out too. I did make a conscious decision to shift my my vernacular, to shift what I was talking about, to shift the houses I was showing, specifically to attract those people. So that's one thing I think a lot of people don't talk about. You can choose everybody talks about riches are in the niches, and it is true, but you have to speak to those people. I don't mean Bob, my avatar, who is moving here from California with cash, and you have 2 kids. I'm not going to say that in my videos, but I'm going to speak to hey, if you're making the move from an area where maybe you have a little bit extra that you can put down, this might be in a better area. Or, hey, here's where the schools are better. Here's the private schools. Here's where the country clubs are. These are the more affluent towns. And I'm going to hone in on those. And I'm going to speak about the towns that have the average price range of $750. And the more I do that, the more I'm going to track that. I even had someone call one time. I had just made this shift a few weeks prior, and I got a call that came in. They said, hey, I don't even know if you'll help someone in my price range. I'm in the 600s. And I'm like, okay. So I haven't specifically said I only work in the millions, but people can sense that too, and they're attracted to that. So they want to, and I'm not so hard pressed. That's all I do. I want to attract multiple people. But yeah, I have made very specific videos for a very specific style of buyer.
Hey, real quick, if you're thinking about changing brokerages, or you're brand new and you're thinking about choosing a brokerage, well, Travis and I would love to talk to you about partnering with us at eXp. You'll get access to all of our coaching, training, and courses at no cost, but mainly we want to see if we're a good fit for each other. So just check the description below and you can book a call with myself and Travis, and we look forward to speaking with you.
That's great. That's amazing. And now it gets even better for 2025, which, by the way, it's like mixed, I don't know. It's interesting. Last year, even beginning this year, it just seems, they say the middle class is getting destroyed in America, right? And it almost seems like the middle class of real estate is almost getting destroyed. And also, some people are just really experiencing their worst years, their down years. And then it seems like the people with the top teams, the big teams, the big producers, they're having their best years ever. It's almost like they are just taking over the market share. And then you have the YouTubers, though. And the YouTubers, I'm just saying, are absolutely crushing this 2024. But yeah, moving into 2025, they're crushing that as well. So far in 2025, let's add closed and pending together.
Okay. So for closed and pending together, I've got 22 million in volume, which if you would reference, that was the entirety of my 2023 year. Yeah. So we've got that. If you were to combine both the GCI of my showing assistant has already this year done 40,000 in GCI off of commission splits.
Wow, it's a highly paid showing assistant.
Right. Well, and it makes sense, and I'll kind of go into the numbers on that. But for me, my GCI is 463,000. Actually, did I do that right? Yeah, I did that right. 463,000 for my GCI, and we are nearing 5 months into.
So you're on pace by Q2. By the end of Q2, you could even surpass 2024.
Oh, I will. Yeah, I actually technically already have I've surpassed 2023.
Yeah,
yeah. I've already surpassed my entirety of 2023.
Yeah, you surpassed that, but 2024 was a monster year, 720,000.
720.
GCI.
Yeah, so I'm on pace by the end of the year. I should probably maybe hit my goal of 900. My goal's 900. So I might be aiming a little short there, but I think I'm definitely going to surpass that.
Yeah.
And it's just me and my showing assistant.
Let's talk about this showing assistant, who is a superhero, but also, do you mind sharing the pay structure on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something I used to have to pry out of other agents, by the way. So whoever's listening, you're getting all this. So one thing that I highly recommend, a showing assistant should, and I was talking to an agent about this the other day. He's a luxury agent. I've been telling him about YouTube forever. He does some video, but not a whole lot. But he works all luxury. He does a lot of cold calling. He has cold callers that work with him. And he said the luxury market right now is just sitting. He's got a lot of listings that are in the 2 million range. He goes, I've got 20 listings that aren't moving at all. And I was like, well, that's unfortunate. And I was like, I'm crushing it. Let me show you what I'm doing so you can do it too. He had the idea. And by the way, if you're listening, you know who you are. This is a good thing. He had the idea and the mindset that if you've got luxury folks or even anyone, they want to only work with you. What I would recommend is it's all about how you introduce this concept. So for me, when I'm having that first initial consult with a client, I say, hey, when you work with me, you work with my team. In fact, you have me and you're going to be working with my showing director, Amy. Amy is an absolute rock star. She's my right hand. And she's how we ensure that you get in every door that you ever want to see. She's got a background in design and construction, and she knows exactly what to look for. And by doing that, I edify that person. Now, if you're just going, hey, I'm only meeting with you, and the day of the showing, this random person shows up, that is not going to put a good taste in their mouth. So it all has to do with how you tee it up. Now, with that, every single one of my clients, when we go to closing, they're like, Amy was amazing. She was excellent. She knew exactly what she was doing. So when you're selecting your showing assistant, I basically put out a wanted ad kind of on Facebook. It was like, hey, anybody who is looking to make between 60 and 80,000, they strictly want to show houses and they have a background and are fully licensed in North and South Carolina. I want to talk to you. And she reached out and we met. I'm not saying they have to be like you, but they do still have to have that confidence because they are going to be face-to-face with that client more than you will. In fact, I usually only have the initial consult, and the next time I actually see my clients is at closing. But 50% of my clients close virtually from out of state. So sometimes I never meet them in person.
Yeah.
And they're totally fine with it. I still get rave reviews from every single one of them. So with this, they become a part of that conversation from the moment they sign the buyer agency. We're doing a 3-way text message with Amy. I'm getting everybody introduced. Everybody's on the same wavelength. Even when they're out showing houses, any conversation between the client and the showing assistant, I'm in it. So I can just, even if it's throwing a little heart emoji in there, like, yay, go team. They know that I'm a part of this. It's not a pass off and I'm going away. I'm in the throes of it. And then she's going to give me feedback. Hey, Kayla, they like 123 Main Street. I think they want to make an offer. Give them a call. I'll reach out to them. Hey, sounds like 123 Main Street might be the one. Let's talk about how to get this offer put together. Now, the way that I structure it is nobody gets paid until the client gets the house. Now, what this is going to do is it's not only going to incentivize the showing assistant, but also myself. I don't want Amy out showing 100 houses. All right. If I can tell a client, sorry, that's not the house for you. I already looked into it. Let's cut that off the list. I'm going to do that because we're a team. It's not just go do whatever they say. I'm still going to be a part of that. But instead of doing a house by house basis, which could one actually cost you more, or it could make sure that your assistant doesn't hardly make anything. What if they only showed 2 houses and they fell in love with it? It's $20 a house. Like that's not going to keep someone as part of the team. You want them to be a part of the team. So what I do is it's 15% of the commission. Whether that commission is 2% or 3%, she makes 15% of that commission when it closes. Now, for some of you guys, that might be, yeah, but now I'm giving that up. I want you to focus on what you're gaining, though. For me, it was, I don't know, even time just to do nothing. Did you ever think about doing nothing? It's really nice. I rarely do it, but I could do nothing. Or I could spend it making more video. Or I could spend that time being at the beach with my family where I am right now. So leveraging that time, you're not giving something up, you're actually gaining. Because I did that, I'm now earning more. I was at my wavelength. I couldn't create any more time. I ran into that time issue again, right? Couldn't create any more time, couldn't make the videos and service the clients and spend time with my family and show all the houses. Regardless of what the price point is, which this was proof to me. I had a client that started at 800 and suddenly they were like, we want to go 1.4. And I went, they're with a showing assistant. And I leaned into it. They already had the relationship. And guess what? Everything was fine. A showing assistant made $6,000. Cool. I'm happy. I'm excited that that happened. I want you to earn more, because if you're earning more, I'm earning more. If I'm earning more, you're earning more. And then we both hit our goals. So you really do want someone that you trust, that understands how it works, not just someone who shows up, opens the door, and walks away. You want them to be someone who is bought into the vision and wants to succeed. You still want them to be driven. Just because they don't want to prospect and they don't want to write contracts doesn't mean they can't be excellent showing assistants. And by the way, they do all the showings, any inspections, they'll go to the inspections, any follow-ups, and the final walkthrough. So I don't ever go out to the house in most cases.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow. Wow. You're quite the mogul here.
No, I just failed enough times that I'm like, something has to change. And then I pivot. I am literally the walking billboard of that scene from Friends. Pivot, pivot, pivot.
That's great. Well, yeah, and that's exactly why now we have you as a certified coach with passive prospecting as well, so you can teach so many others this opportunity. And you've worked with us now last couple of months on some 3-day events. And how's that been working with? Because you get a couple of 100 people on your Zooms, and how's that been so far?
I love it. I love it, and I think part of it is seeing all of these individuals on this call, because I literally was where they are, regardless of what their story is, regardless of their background. I was at a point where I said something has to change, which usually is why you show up to an event like that, is to make a change in your business or your life. And I'm sharing not only my story and some numbers, I am showing them how to do what it is that I do, and breaking down those barriers that they have of those limitations in their mind, to say, look, if a non-tech savvy pregnant lady who has no idea what they're doing on YouTube can succeed at this level, it doesn't matter where you're at, you can too. And I say all that jokingly, but seriously too. I didn't know until I started getting into it and realized it's something that is simple, not easy. And when I say not easy, the not easy part is getting out of your comfort zone. The not easy part is showing up every week. The not easy part is being able to let go of the what will they say when they see it, and just letting it ride and being completely authentically you and seeing who shows up. Because usually the people that are showing up in your world as clients are the ones that connected with who you are. So seeing these students go through this and watching in the chat box, like the ahas, we always go, I always like to pull people in live and unmute their mics, which they're always shocked when they didn't raise their hand. I'm like, all right, 3, 2, 1, I'm gonna call on you. And I call on a random person.
Oh,
and
nice.
No matter what.
I'll have to do that.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. But when you call on them, it doesn't matter whether they raise their hand or not. Immediately they have an aha. And it could be I didn't know I didn't need a lot of tech. I didn't know I didn't need to know how to edit. I didn't know that, there's a difference between social media and a search engine. That's one of the biggest ones I get. Like, it's a search engine. I didn't know that was a thing. These minor pivots and seeing them go through this process. And I would say this, I'm not going to say an awakening, but like the whole thing is an aha for them. And they leave having the power and the knowledge to go take action. I follow up and watch some of these people on social media, and I see when they're taking the action on it, and I'll get DMs. Kayla, that 3-day course was amazing. Like I jumped in, I already have subscribers. Or my favorite is when people text me, I got my first phone call. Like, I remember my first phone call personally, I thought it was a prank because I only had 5 videos. I really did. I had 5 videos up. And this person called me and they hesitated. They're like, is this Kayla? And I'm like, yes. Who is this? Oh, well, we watched all your YouTube videos. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's 5 of them. That would take not long to do it all. And they said, we're moving there. We want to work with you. And I'm going, oh, this is real. And I start taking notes. I'm like, okay, tell me more. I literally ran into the backyard. My husband was outside. I was like, it's working. And of course, I always have a crazy thing. I'm running out to him yelling. And he goes, what's working? What's wrong? I said, my YouTube channel. Someone called me, like a real human called me and wants me to work with them. And it just kept going. And I see that from the students. I see that happening over and over and over. And like, it gives me energy to know that someone else is taking what I'm teaching. Like, for example, you taught me how to do this. And now I can go teach it to someone else and watch them succeed and watch their lives change. And that for me, like that is a massive motivator. That's why I've always liked coaching people and teaching people and, helping them get where they need to go. As long as you're willing to listen and apply and be consistent, you can do it. And that's the fun part.
Yeah. And now we can even co-sponsor at EXP.
What? Now you have to teach me that too. So I've never been very good at that.
Have you heard of the new co-sponsorship at EXP?
I've had a few of my peeps calling me about it. And I'm like, bro, I do YouTube and I do sales. And I don't know where I have leverage for time in that. But if someone can teach me the leverage of time, I will do it.
Okay. Well, if we come across anybody in North Carolina, we'll probably definitely co-sponsor with you there. And just means that we sponsor them, but then you get listed as a co-sponsor so they can go in both of our organizations. Then they can have you for local support and they have us for YouTube support and vice versa. So if you've got somebody there and you want to co-sponsor with us, of course, you know how that works. We'll open up all of our coaching and training and provide them access on the YouTube side, but then, they'll have you as well on top of that. So I think it's a big advantage for us because that's been the biggest, I would say, setback for us recruiting nationally is that it's, someone's always wanted local support in their backyard. And they're like, I'm in Denver, I'm in North Carolina, I'm in Alaska, and we love you. But is there somebody local? Yeah. Is there somebody local I can talk to and hang out with? And before there was no financial incentive for a local team unless you actually join their team. And then you got people that I want to be a solo agent. I just really want someone that maybe I could talk to once in a while and not to, they're not going to hold back everything. And so, yeah, with co-sponsorship, we could sponsor some people together. And so anybody we have come to us from North Carolina, we can put them with you. And then that way they have the local support, if they ever want to, meet up for coffee or give you a phone call, hopefully you don't mind that. And then they'll get everything that we have on the YouTube side. So it's good. It's a really cool deal.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm down.
Yeah, there you go. And it'll build out both of our organizations, which is really pretty cool. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more of that offline, but it's a very unique opportunity now with EXP.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, that's good. So, man, wow, so much. Congratulations, first and foremost. I mean, just amazing. So happy for you. Has this changed your life in any way? Your family's life? I mean, is the money okay? Or
yeah, I mean, it could be better. Yeah, it's not bad. It's for me. It's the freedom, the aha. Like I say aha. It's the ah.
Yeah.
Basically, that would be the sound of it because every now and then, like there'll be a lull of like 3 days where I don't get a lead. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I get 4. Yeah, I know. And then I get like 4 that comes in. And my assistant's always like, Kayla, just stop. Like it's going to happen in like a day. It's always when you go on vacation too. Every time, of course, you get a plethora. But it's been a life changer. Like when I say a life changer, not only, okay, this is cool, I'm making lots of money. It's also, okay, now I can start putting investments away. Now I can go buy that laundromat that I've wanted. Now I can go take this and make that laundromat. I really want to. I have a call next week with someone. I'm either going to buy a laundromat or I'm going to buy a window washing company. So that's my next stage in life is to buy other businesses.
Okay.
And franchises.
Do you follow Cody Sanchez?
I literally just started following her because the guy I was talking to, who's a headhunter for businesses, he's like, you should go look into her. You kind of remind me of her. And I started laughing and I was like, really? He goes, no, literally go watch her content. So I did. I was like, oh, I could see the similarities there.
Yeah, she's a beast. But actually she went viral on YouTube because of her laundromat video. And then since that, she's built an amazing personal brand now over the last 3 to 4 years. So 3 or 4 years ago, she released the laundromat video, and that was just like brought her on the map. Yeah. But yeah, no, exactly. I will say,
I've wanted a laundromat since I was like 12. I also wanted a bar. I've gotten rid of that idea. Now I want a laundromat and a car wash, and I should be all set.
Well, you know about my properties in Belize, correct?
I know of them. I don't know exactly what you're doing with them.
I've got a beachfront property that'll be a single family home at on the island, the main tourist spot on Ambergris Key, and then I got 200 acres in the middle of the country in the jungle, right off of Hummingbird Highway, and that I want to turn into an eco short-term rental resort, of course, with but also like a wellness center. So there I will have the restaurant and a bar, but also some yoga and probably CrossFit and cold plunge and saunas, and then also it already has orange
That's
groves
cool.
orange groves and grapefruit groves, but I want to add coffee and mango
Sign
and
me up.
pineapple. Yep. So, but 200 acres that's a lot. And so I put that as like a 5-year vision, but also I've been keeping an eye on 30 minutes from there is beachfront. The beachfront town is only 30 minutes. It's a different part, but I've been keeping my eye on just in case. And I just got under contract. Yeah, I just got under contract an acre and a half beachfront, 30 minutes from that property that I've already got plans for to build out 8 villas and a restaurant and bar, like a pool area with the 8 villas. So it makes it much more attainable, right? Because I'm like, oh, I could start that now. Building out an acre and a half is much easier than 200 acres. so yeah, you just start with one thing, one
Yeah. Planning.
Yeah. So it's exciting. I'm really excited about that because I'll be closing on it soon, and I can't believe
Dude, congrats. That's so cool.
Yeah, I can't believe I found that property. It's amazing. So yeah, big things. But that's what this is really about. It's about the freedom. It's about the security. Yeah. It's about the providing something for your family. The time. It's not just about providing the money or the freedom or the security, but yeah, the time that comes with that to be able to hang out with the family and do what you want to do and surf in Costa Rica for 2 weeks and stay at the beach house. I mean, I love it.
It's all about, this is what I think most people get into real estate for. And I think we lose our way and we forget about that at some point because we get caught up in the hustle of more, gotta keep showing up. And we forget to live. Yeah. And have a little bit of fun along the way and invest what we're making into something else, not just going out and buying that Land Rover, right? You got to go invest in things that are going to keep building money and keep building your empire and your future. And your future, even if you don't have kids, a future out there somewhere for something, even if maybe you want to get out of the game sooner, you've got it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kayla. Any final words of wisdoms for all the aspiring YouTubers out there?
Gosh, stick with it. And even if you screw your channel up, which I did, by the way, last year, I leaned really heavy into shorts and was not at all consistent with my long form content, and it nipped me in the butt. But with that, you get back into consistency, you commit to it, and you get the results you're looking for. And you can do whatever you want with your channel, but even if you make a mistake, it is fixable. So commit to it and be consistent. That would be the number one thing I'd tell anybody, and you'll get the results.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kayla. Really appreciate it.
Heck yeah. Great to see you again.